Good evening, Belchertown. Welcome to the December 9th, 2025 meeting of your planning board. We've got two items on our agenda. Neither of them are timed, however. One is for a return of the Cutchins program for children. We were asking for an application for a modified site plan, and we had reached out to their legal counsel, but I don't see anybody here up on go-to.
He's up there.
He was up there.
Right in the middle.
No,
Cutchins.
that's for
Oh,
122.
Cutchins.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was starting out Cutchins
I'm
because they're
wrong.
at the top of the list.
my mistake.
And then we also have a modification of site plan approval for 122 Federal Street, and that's attorney Vincent Presenteri, and he's with us again tonight. Neither of these are timed. Obviously, we can take the 122 Federal Street matter first. They're here, and maybe somebody will come in from Cutchins in the next few minutes or so, and we can do them second. So we'll start out with making sure our communications are okay with Attorney Pusateri this time. You can hear us. You want to unmute yourself so we could make sure we can hear you?
Yes.
Hey.
All right.
We're cooking with gas this meeting. We did hear this matter last week, or 2 weeks, last meeting, 2 weeks ago. And we had some communication problems. We went ahead and we discussed the matter anyway, hoping that you were either you had at least sound at your end, and if not, you could review the minutes ahead of time so you could see there was some discussion going on, and we're going to go through it again. Do you want me to step back in time to discuss what happened previously at this site, or do you want to do it?
Well, no, I would defer to you. I think that you have a little bit more involvement, actually, historically, with this property than I have, other than to note my recent experience with the Conservation Commission regarding their opinions.
Well, we had a site plan review, and we did vote it. And there were some conditions made on it, and one of them was that where you were going to put the automobiles that were going to be staged for sale, we wanted to move to the opposite side of the lot, which was the recommendation that had come in from the Conservation Commission. So we had basically incorporated their condition into our set of conditions. However, it went back to the Conservation Commission, and we've got correspondence from them now saying that they were willing to allow it to be moved back to the west side, subject to you putting in a berm and some trees or something that was going to constitute a barrier to push in the snow load into that swamp that's right next door. And it's our understanding all those conditions have been met, and that the Conservation Commission gave us some correspondence saying that they did not need it to review it again, that based on the conditions that you had set up, they felt that theirs had been entirely met and they were satisfied. But that left it with our site plan review saying that there was a condition to move it on the other side of the lot. And what we got discussing last time was what kind of modification that is, because the site plan was approved, it did have conditions, and under our code of bylaws, 145-27I, modification of an approved site plan, we can either have a major substantial modification, minor amendment to a plan, or we could basically say that it was de minimis, that what you were doing didn't really affect the plan when you were going to be making a change. So we're back to discussing whether the cars are going to be on the west side of the lot where they were originally intended, or the east side of the lot where we had discussed and decided they were going to go. And that's where we left it. Did you want to add to that conversation at all before we pick it up again?
I didn't want to leave anybody. We have done no work over there at this point. My client is interested in confirming the specifications of what we're going to be doing with the planning board. Our current understanding, based on our exchange, and I tried to keep you involved in my exchange with the conservation agent, we're looking at installing or repairing the curbing to a 4 to 6 inch high curbing, depending on the actual height that's there. And we're looking to put in some visual barrier that's going to prevent the snowplow from looking at that area as a place to store snow. And one of the ideas we had originally was large stones to be placed there. Conservation also came back in and said some shrubbery of some sort, or some type of a fence of some architecturally pleasing fence of some sort that just says you're not going to. This is not a place to store snow. We did talk about a number of things with conservation. I'll try to be very brief about it, but certainly the operation of the gas station and storing for sale, open air sale, motor vehicles on the right hand side, where the current planning board decision is, creates an operational issue that primarily require us to move these vehicles to refill the gas tanks, which are going to be under the ground in that location. So that was one of the big reasons we wanted to move it over. We had some other reasons that we expressed to the Conservation Commission that really just focused on their concerns. There was that wetland area that's behind there on the left-hand side, and I believe I know the Conservation Commission is satisfied, and I think that we can fulfill those expectations by meeting some of the conditions. Those conditions are specifically reconstructing the curbing to a 4 to 6 inches. We want it to be a concrete curb so that it's not an asphalt curb that could be easily damaged by a snowplow, and that we place in some type of barrier, whether that be boulders, shrubbery, or some type of like a picket fence or something that would make it impossible for snow storage. Thank you.
Right, we had original conditions. We had that the cars would be moved, but also that you submit the standard operating procedure for dealing with runoffs. There'd be no signage except inside the cars, no additional lighting, and all parking is to be marked out and travel lanes designated. All those conditions were already acceptable to you. We don't need to discuss those again.
Yes, sir.
So the only thing we're really discussing is where we're going to put the cars. Does anybody have, I'll poll the board individually, so we get this thing nailed down where everybody stands then. Michael, where do you want those cars?
I'm fine with them on the west, so long as they comply with the CONSCOM conditions as stipulated in the relevant emails.
Liz, where do you want those cars?
I continue to prefer to have them on the west side, and I'm
The east side.
East side.
I'm sorry, yes, not on the
The
west
other
side,
side.
on the east side. And I read the CONSCOM findings, and I had a conversation with a couple of folks, and it's clear that basically I know we're not supposed to say grandfathered in, but basically it is grandfathered in. So I continue to think that I know I can't vote no. That is for the same reasons that the CONSCOM couldn't, but I also can't vote yes. So I'm continuing to abstain on voting on this one. I'm sorry, Dan.
No, but your original thought was the east side.
Right.
I'm going to move you down as an easterner. Mark.
I'm fine with meeting the stipulations that conservation has laid out, and I think if we do that, the west side is fine.
With the concrete curb and the barrier, I'm okay with the west side.
Leonard.
I'm an east side guy.
This is what happened last time.
Yeah.
If I go east, we're split right down the middle. And if I go west, at least we have a majority.
It's a simple
allowing
majority,
cars to
right?
go where they want to put them. But if you really want to abstain, that changes everything.
Regardless of the voting split, what do you feel is the correct thing for the town?
I'm gonna turn this really into a plurality. I don't think that the car should be on the property at all. I think it's too crowded. There just isn't enough room to pack another enterprise onto that limited site. However, they did show adequate parking, with their engineer, that, and that physically it could be done.
We've already approved a site plan.
We approved the
And-
site
and
plan.
the site-
I think
the
I
site-
voted against it the first time too.
The site plan is approved for 5 cars to be there. The
Yep.
question is, do
Where
we
they're gonna be.
modify it? Do we modify it to put them on the west in accordance with Conscom? Or do we not modify it and insist that they have to go on the east? But we can't go back and rescind the approval of the
No,
cars themselves.
no. No. If I take Elizabeth out of the mix, if she truly does not want to participate in this one, I've got 3 west and 1 east. So if I go west, it just reinforces it. If I go east, I'm still outvoted. So I think we're gonna go west. We're gonna allow them to move the cars the way they want to. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say on that? Any strong feelings? That seems to be the feeling of the board. I'll go west then. We'll finish this off. So, any other
So,
discussion before I move to a vote?
can I just clarify, because you said it
Yes.
changes everything if I abstain as opposed to voting,
Well, if you
No.
stay in there, then it's
it's still a simple.
and I go east, I could swing it into a 50-50 vote and the vote would fail.
So are you on the fence about?
I was swayed by the argument that they made earlier in writing about the inappropriateness of having the cars parked over the service area. But even that one bothered me though, because if it's not safe for the rental cars to be there, it's not safe for the customers to be there either. I mean, it's not safe. It shouldn't be parking in the first place.
Was it safety or operational efficiency? Because they have to move the cars to fill.
How often?
I think it was both. Because if you have a spill there, and now you have the automobile sitting there, how do you get them out of the way, you know? Or you have people moving back and forth between their automobiles, if any other activity is going on, and it sounds dangerous to me. Although I suppose the truck, they would set out cones and try to get everybody out of there, you know, in order to physically access that site. They would have to have some kind of protocol. They must now. Which is one of the reasons we asked for a copy of the standard operating procedures. You know, how were they utilizing that site to show that it was safe to begin with and that it was adequate parking in order to meet the parking requirement of the bylaw.
I think the safety question that came up before we'd heard from Conscom was a concern that customers for these cars would be crossing over in front of the area where people are gassing up in order to look at the cars on the west.
Well, that was one of the reasons we had asked of our conditions. The parking would be marked out in travel lanes designated. It'd be their responsibility to mark up that site to make sure that there was safe travel, that people could be pedestrian in that area and not interfere with the cars moving around.
if they park on the east, over top of the gas tanks, storage tanks, does that preclude them from needing to do the curb improvement and the snow storage and all of the other things?
Well, my recollection is that our conservation administrator was pretty concerned because the macadam curb was just in chunks and was doing absolutely nothing. And when I did my site visit, it was just a little bit of rubble at the edge as opposed to a barrier.
But that's a maintenance issue as opposed to a site plan design issue. If they park on the east, does that preclude them from putting in the concrete? They could just go back and repair the asphalt the way it is and continue to store snow there? I don't know, I'm asking.
I think that's, I don't know, I don't remember if the conscom conditions, well, it was a moot point, I guess, because they had said they could park on the west.
If I may, John,
Yeah,
I
sure.
have one question. When I interrupt the deliberation, but the consult looked at this specifically as an opportunity to improve a wetland protection. And their concept was, well, if we permit this to happen, what can we get out of this to help alleviate any concerns they had with that area in the back of that curbing? And the repairing of that curbing and the protection of that area from snow storage was something that they were interested in obtaining. So I think that they would get, and that the planning board would also get to the town if they were to approve this site plan with the amended conditions.
Have you seen a picture of this thing? An actual picture? I know you probably haven't been out there.
I have seen a picture of that. It's kind of it's just to the left-hand side there, the area that the curb is all broken up and it goes down the hill towards the back there.
This is a very small lot, and it's next to a very wet parcel. It's not just a wetland. It's a pond. There's standing water out there, a good half a foot thick or more.
We would also argue with the Conservation Commission that, I mean, I think it's not unreasonable to think in our minds that we're going to store cars there could be a leak and there could be a spill. But having vehicles prepared for sale, you're going to have a vehicle that's much more likely to be in good shape than customer vehicles with customer visits and various different vehicles stopping over at the left-hand side with miscellaneous amount of leaking throughout the course of the day. And then the other issue is, and I hate to disparage anybody about it, but human nature being what it is, if you're a truck driver, you've got to deliver gas and there's vehicles close to or in or around the tank fills, you know, what's the easiest way to get the job done so we can get on to the next spot? So are we looking at creating a situation where corners get cut or something else is happening where ordinarily we'd have that area open and clear for delivery? So ideally, those are the things that we're talking about with the planning board, and there is an opportunity to improve that. I'm sorry I haven't gone out there to put boots on the ground to see exactly how wet the area is there, but this could be an improvement towards at least the snow storage and the any potential runoff to be corralled by that concrete curb.
Oh, I wasn't implying anything. I just wanted to know if you had an appreciation for our prickliness about this problem and the conservation's concerns about this particular site. It never would get a station in there now. I mean, obviously it was there when the zoning controls came in, so it got a non-conforming prior status attached to it.
The client also conveys to me much more detail than I can convey to you. The protocols and licensing requirements to be able to maintain and operate a gas station, having the protocols in place to clean up our spills. And we're talking about spills from a gas pump, which would be much greater than anything that they may experience from the four motor vehicles to the left or the right, wherever the decision might be to put those vehicles. So the spill concern is real concern, and obviously it is is part of the whole operational requirement that they are prepared to deal with that type of complaint?
It's a tough spot for the owner too. I mean, they've got gas pumps. Selling gasoline doesn't make really any money for anybody. It's what they sell in their store, and that's a small, very small store. And that's why, was it a year ago, they were talking about trying to expand to put liquor in there, or beer and wine. I mean, I appreciate that they're trying to turn a buck here and keep their business above water. So I think I'll use that as to convince myself this is a business in town. It's been here a while. They're trying to make a go of it. They have a very limited number of options, and if this one can be done and satisfy the Conservation Commission, was the principal arbiter of how the wetlands issue is going to be approached, then I'm not going to stand in the way. I'll go with the modification too. So, Attorney Pusateri, you got anything else to say before we go to a vote?
I appreciate you guys, your volunteer board, you took a second look at my client's project, I just want to thank you very much.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else to say before? Okay. I'll make a motion then that we approve the modification as a minor amendment under 145.27 subparagraph I, subparagraph 2 as a minor amendment to an approved site plan, and it's subject to the previous conditions that we had, which have modified to no longer require moving the cars, but to submit the standard operating procedure and have it reviewed and approved by the Conservation Commission if you have not already done so. There'll be no signage except inside the cars, no additional lighting, all parking is to be marked out, travel lanes designated. You will repair the curb on the east side with 4 to 6 inches of concrete as appropriate based on west side.
West side.
Now I'm doing it. Repair the curb on the west side of 4 to 6 inches of concrete berming, depending on what the site will require. And you will put up a barrier to snow, which will either be sizable stones or some kind of shrubbery or fencing. I think I've got it all. So, motion's made. Any further discussion on the motion? Not hearing any. I'll move it to a vote. All in favor?
You need a second.
I didn't get a
I'll
second.
second.
Motion's seconded by Mr. Hoffler. So, it's made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll move it to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Aye.
One opposed and
Abstain.
and one abstained. So, I've got 3-1-1 is the vote, Jackie. Okay? We're all set. What are your questions, Attorney Pusateri?
No questions, maybe get a chance, we'll catch up with you by the end of the week and just make sure I put the decision to my client and make sure he knows what the conditions are.
Very
Thank
good.
you. Thank you very much.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Doug, should I just mark this approved or approved with modifications or conditions? Because I already put an X in approved. Or can I put it in both?
Why not both? And then you can scribble.
So it's
in
approved and
amended
approved
to-
with modifications or
Yeah.
conditions. And then,
Just scribble in the conditions or refer to the original decision with the exception of the conservation thing. So your condition could be that it has to meet the Conservation Commission's conditions.
So I was gonna suggest that the condition 1 be changed to just comply with the CONSCOM conditions as detailed in the email to from Stephanie Sansui and Attorney Vincent Pusateri dated October 23 and October 27 of this year. So comply with the CONSCOM conditions as detailed in.
And also the conditions that Dan had read out.
That's what those conditions are.
Yeah.
The
Well, the-
curbing and the
Plus
zoning
hours.
and the.
Plus the
light and
And
the
that was,
signage.
October 23rd was the memo?
23rd and 27th. So there's two emails that you need to reference. But conditions 2 through 5 stay in place.
25 and 1027. 1023 and 1027.
God bless you.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
So that was it. Just refer the original conditions, accept, comply with Concom conditions outlined in emails 1023, 1027, which is encompasses all of our changes.
Correct.
Is it more legible, are the conditions more legible on the original document? I could not read any of it. I did go and look at the conscom ones, but on this form, it's illegible.
Yeah, it didn't photocopy well.
There's the next page though, they're typed out in an email.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks.
Right here. It's a page before. It's the October 23 email and the October 27 email. Go back one more. This is from the attorney to Doug, and that's from Stephanie clarifying a little of that.
Oh, I thought you were looking for the original conditions. Was she?
Yeah, those are the only conditions that exist.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
If I'm abstaining, do I just?
You're still a member, yeah.
Okay.
The vote, is recorded, so.
Yeah, and Len should specify his objection. Typically that needs to be done.
Well, I think even though it's grandfathered in, for me, I don't think the gas station should have ever been approved to be there either. So why approve even more is where I'm coming from. Give them, and I get the argument that we want the business in town, and I understand all that, but this property is 0.44 acres. This is smaller than my property, right? And you're going to put cars on there, and those wetlands, from where they're going to be parking those cars, are approximately 25 feet away from. I'm going to call it a marsh, all right? Because that's really what it is, a giant marsh. So if there's any kind of spillage, that's destroyed. That's just, and that could be now. That could be right now with customers parking there too, right? So I go back to the fact that the gas station should have never been approved by the town in the first place.
And that when something is non-conforming, we don't do things that will make it more non-conforming.
I tried to find a variance, how they applied for the variance online. I couldn't find anything. I wish I could, but I mean, it's probably so old. I mean,
I think that gas station has been there at least since the 60s, if not the 50s.
yeah. I mean, it's been as long as I've lived in town.
Well, they must have filled, so you can put it there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, back in the days when you could fill. So the gas station and the junk behind it is also all on fill.
How old is that gas tank, the storage tank?
Oh, the tank is fairly new.
So they have replaced it, put
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
a better tank in. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it, but yeah.
Well, it's been since I've lived here.
Yeah, you would know, yeah.
That's a real danger of this site, is that
The
tank
tank.
leaking.
Yeah, it is.
I also, actually, I rankled a bit at the idea that we'd be trading, approving it for them fixing something that they should have fixed in any event. It shouldn't have been in that condition.
That's an excellent point. The condition of the curbing right now is a failure to maintain, the property in a responsible manner.
It really is.
Period. And that's not for us necessarily as a planning board to make sure that happens. But regardless of what occurs there, that curb as a minimum needs to be repaired to its original design. This allows it to be reconstructed to a higher standard.
Yeah,
It
again,
hurts you. It
well,
hurts
no,
you.
it feels
Yeah.
like how you felt about extending the dead end roads.
Oh, absolutely,
That
yeah,
it feels
no.
like this is a little bit of,
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't
extortion.
remember, you didn't call it blackmail, but you did call it, in any event, and why would anyone dump snow there in the first place? I mean, that should be something that,
Gotta put it somewhere.
I know, but.
There's nowhere to put it on that lot,
Well, exactly.
unless you pick it up and throw it in a truck and haul it away,
Anyway,
Let's move on.
Well, our other appointment obviously hasn't showed up. They're not up on the board, and they're not here, and Doug did not hear from them. So we're just gonna make believe that this isn't gonna happen until they decide that their timing is such that they wanna have us put back into the mix again. But they know what we want.
Yep,
We
they
want
do.
a minor, an application for a minor modification of a construction site plan.
That's right.
And it should come in with the argument of why it's needed, which was discussed, but I'd like it to be in writing. So if anybody asks us what we were thinking, we can say, well, this is the reason why we did it, is because they made an argument and we considered it compelling and
Right.
to be evidenced. I don't know, maybe they're waiting now until spring. If they've got a parking problem, where are they gonna put them?
Yeah, can't park in the street if it's.
Can't
if
park in the
there's-
street
if
now,
there's a
because there's gonna be
snowbank.
snow there.
Yeah,
So, maybe they're gonna try to come back and tackle it. I don't know. It's supposed to rain tomorrow.
yeah.
Might get warm enough. Maybe there's a couple of plants still open, but I don't know how you would do the groundwork.
I kinda doubt it. My nephew works for Palmer Paving, he got laid off last week, so.
So that's that. That's our agenda for tonight. And we're gonna move on then. We have any additions to discuss items that might be discussed but aren't gonna be voted tonight by the members? Hearing none, I'm gonna do the minutes. I've got the minutes here for November 18th, 2025. They were previously circulated. People had a chance to make any edits, deletions, changes that they wanted to make. Does anybody have any edits, deletions, or changes they want to make here tonight?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes as presented. And this time I'll get a second. From Elizabeth.
I'll second.
Elizabeth seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll move it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let the record show 500. I went to the last ZBA meeting, and a woman came up afterwards. I thought she said mother, but she must have said mother-in-law.
Was that the chicken thing? What happened with that?
They passed it over for another month. It'll come up 18, 17. Third discussion. I see no bills. Town plan report, Mr. Bell, what have you got for us?
Couple of things, the district local technical assistance grants have been announced by PVPC. These are, funds that come from the state and they're administered through PVPC. The grant is a value of consultant time, so, usually up to $15,000, and that's $15,000 worth of PVPC's staff time. So this is one of the things we've been using to update sections of the community plan as we go. And so, since we've done a whole bunch of these, we do need to update our land use plan, part of it, so, 'cause that kind of holds everything else. So, I'm gonna send that in tomorrow, apply to have that assistance, and, I'm still waiting to get the word go, for the zoning revision. We've signed the contracts and sent stuff in, so we're waiting for the final word. And at that point, we'll have to put that out to bid.
How will that be spec'd for the request for the proposal for the contractor?
I don't know, I'll have to work on that.
I remember looking at our zoning map once before. But it was more with regard to the community plan,
Yeah.
you know, and that turned into a big show. Is that how we're probably gonna be doing the request for looking at the zoning, modification of the zoning maps again? We're gonna invite the entire community into a room
We're
and
gonna have to.
talk to them generally about it, and then have some specific ideas about how we wanna rezone.
I
We
think,
don't wanna just turn it loose.
yeah, we don't wanna turn it
It'd
loose.
be
You gotta,
like
you gotta
piranha
guide the conversation.
feeding, you
Yeah,
know?
and so I think, once we have a consultant, probably what we ought to do is identify our priorities, and what we want, the zoning to accomplish. You know, if we have this master plan, well, the zoning should facilitate that plan. Right now, they're just not even connected. Gee, we want more business, well, we don't have enough business zones. Gee, we want more farms, we want more whatever, you know, and how do we do that? So it's gonna involve transportation, it's gonna involve economic development, housing, conservation, agriculture, all these different things that we want in our town. So we gotta, I think we need to have that discussion, and since since you're the planning board, and keepers of the community plan, the master plan, then I think it would be good for all of you to be individually and then even collectively thinking about what the priorities should be and what we might want to do. So when we get a consultant, that initial conversation can be useful.
We also need to factor in the unknowns. So will the the rail from Boston go here?
That's-
You know, will the rail trail be completed? And how does that factor into the use of the land?
Yeah, exactly. And these new laws from the state, the energy siting one and the housing one.
ADUs, yep.
Yep. So we gotta put those things in. Good thinking, Mike. You're ahead of it. So there's that. We should be getting put out to bid the new section of the Lake Wallace Trail, the Woods Trail. We've gotten the word go on that, so we just need to get around to doing it.
That's the part
In the
where you
back.
go over the dam and
Yeah,
the old snowmobile.
the inaccessible part, basically. The non-accessory trail, so, I keep saying accessory, sensory. I gotta stop even thinking about it, so, yes, that part, where we wanna get it off the road a little bit, and EDIC owns a big long strip there next between Crispy's and beyond the intersection. And it makes sense for them to just cut off the part they can't use for a business site and add it to the Lake Wallace property. They've agreed to do that, and so we had the wetlands flagged and went out there with the chair or president, whatever, I guess it's a president if it's a corporation, Kirk Stevens, who's Bill Perry retired, so Kirk's now the president, I guess. And so he met Stephanie from Conservation and me out there on Friday, and yeah, it looked like that. Probably they have maybe as much of a buildable area as Crispy's does. Whatever would go there would have to be small. But it seems like it'd be far enough from the wetlands and would meet the zoning setbacks, and they could probably get a little something in there.
Gas station and a car lot.
I would think so, yeah, at least.
Petroleum plant.
I was kinda hoping for
So
a.
is that instead of giving it to the Lake Wallace? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying?
they've always intended that to be a business site. And so we finally got them to whittle down the areas that might actually be useful, that they could use, so. Anyway, we're gonna, keep moving along with that. And, the New England Trail, now that, W.D. Coles Incorporated no longer owns the great big chunk of forest, and it's owned by the trustees of reservations, and will have a restriction held by Kestrel Land Trust. The idea is to relocate the New England Scenic Trail. Because the idea originally, and most of that New England Trail follows the old M&M Metacomet-Monadnock Trail route, but the people at Coles decided they didn't want federal government involvement on their property, and since the New England Scenic Trail is overseen by the National Park Service, they said, nope, you can't have your trail on our property. So now you dump out of the woods onto Federal Street, and you just have to follow Federal Street to Gulf Road and all the way up Gulf Road, or vice
It's
versa.
the longest stretch of
Yeah.
the New England Trail that's on a highway.
Yeah, it's like 3 miles or something like that.
Embarrassing.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, so that doesn't have to be that way anymore. So the Appalachian Mountain Club, who is sort of the overseers of the actual trail construction, maintenance, and so forth, and Kestrel are working to put the New England Trail back on to where the M&M Trail was, maybe with a few changes, and to add 3 or 4, maybe 5 parking spaces at the end of South Gulf Road. So Saturday afternoon, we met with the residents of South Gulf Road and discussed it all, and I think we answered most of their questions, and if not eliminated, at least assuaged a few of their concerns. You had a representative there. What was your opinion about it all?
I certainly assuaged, I didn't really have any concerns, but I don't live on South Gulf, so it seemed as though most of the issues that people were raising are existing issues which have nothing to do with a trailhead.
Yeah,
If their neighbors are driving 50 miles an hour on the road,
that's them. Take it up with your
Yeah.
neighbors, yeah. Yeah, and the other,
So I went to Conscom last night, because that was, and only one person from the street was on, and they didn't actually speak up at all. But did Linda Ledoux say, it's a little hard to hear in that room, and everybody has pretty soft voices, but it sounded as though they're gonna start the turnaround immediately.
I don't know what their plan is for that.
She said she wanted to have it done for the snow season
Yeah.
if possible.
Well, yeah, they might do that
This is
then.
an area where the trash trucks and the snow plows and the school
Yeah,
buses
and
all turn around.
apparently all the rubbish trucks have to back all the way down the street, cause there's really no good place to turn around. Oil trucks probably do similar, I don't know. Yes, so DPW wants to turn around there, and that's a separate but connected issue to having a smattering of parking spots. I think their bigger concern, predates any of this by decades, it's just that, the joyriders go out on Friday and Saturday nights, bashing through the woods on the old road. And, they make a lot of noise, they make a mess, and occasionally, have to get towed out and a bunch of other things, so.
But there'll be
But
a gate.
well, the trustees of reservations own not all the way to the end of Munsell Street, but up to the Oasis Drive property. And they plan to put a gate up on their section, and since we have a conservation area all around the other end, the South Gulf end, I've been saying for a long time I wanted a gate there. And, so I think DPW is amenable, and if, we can get that done, sooner is better. You know, other plans for that property will be basically the same. The snowmobilers will retain their trail. Hunting is going to continue to be allowed. So really none of the uses other than forestry are going to be discontinued. So people really should, it's sort of a deal that kind of gives everybody something, something good. So I think it's a huge benefit to the town to have that.
One of the neighbors did say that she, even though her driveway was right the next one down from where the parking area would be, she was totally in favor of it and didn't see why public access should only be for people who are lucky enough to live on South Gulf Road.
Yeah, that was
I
a
thought
nice
that was a
statement.
very,
Yeah.
putting your money where your mouth is.
And
Putting
did-
your mouth.
Did you have any of the host's little fudgy things? Those are
I
very
did.
good. Oh, shame on you.
I can't eat and do anything else at the same time. I thought, why didn't I take one of those chocolate chip cookies? It was like that big.
Yeah, that was too sweet. I had one. It was like, yeah, that's too sweet, too sugary. I can't eat supermarket cookies. But anyway, that was that. And what's next? Oh, the MVP project. We moved into our second phase. You might recall my blathering on about the municipal vulnerability planning project that we're doing. And it was just this really overly complicated approach they had designed. And but we got through it, and poof, the result is, well, let's do a municipal housing trust, focusing on, climate resilience, because that's the whole emphasis of this thing. Okay, this is how we can address underserved population, in terms of climate. So South Hadley did the same thing. So we're basically just stealing what they have and adapting it. So the bigger trick is going to be how are we going to fund it? Because you want to be able to say we're not going to take it out of your property taxes, except for community preservation, which is how which would be I think a very common way these things are getting some money towards affordable housing. But because people don't like the word affordable in connected with housing, we are going to be diplomatic and just say resilient housing, because it's for people who already live here, people who own their houses. If some little old lady can't afford to put up a wind block at her front door so she can get in and out of her house out of the weather, but that would be a use for it, stuff like that. So we'll be working on that. I'm sure you'll be hearing stuff about it, because we have to get a bylaw ready for town meeting.
would there be a committee the way there is with the CPC where they decide
Yes.
who gets what?
Yep, there would. And so probably one of you would be on it. Most likely someone from the select board. And I don't know who else. You know, we'll design all that stuff as we go. So that's would be a way of, yeah, reviewing applications.
Were you happy with the result?
Yeah, I found an old email. I was kind of idly zipping through ancient emails looking for things I knew I could expunge, and I saw this conversation I'd had, correspondence I'd had with somebody 10 years ago about this topic. So I've been thinking about it because, you know, we've become an unaffordable town. You know, it worked out for me. You know, I got into my house for $110,000 29 years ago, and it's worth quite a bit more than that now. All I had to do was sit there and pay the bank. You know, but I was lucky because my dad kind of got me started. He was a plumber, and he already owned a lot. Not this one, but the one I built my first house on, and he said, yeah, you know, just pay me for the lot sometime, and he rounded up all of his contractor buddies and donated his plumbing, and you know, that was the break I needed, and that got me started and built up some equity. And yes, I paid him back for his lot, and then when it came time to move, I sold that and built this one, and you know, by then I got to be my general contractor because I learned a few things. One of which was Dad doesn't know as much as I used to think he did. So anyway, yes, I think we need to do something for the, you know, certainly for the people who already live here to help them stay living here. Aging in place is a huge thing. You know, my wife and I are now talking about, okay, you know, how do we make this house work for us for the next 20 years, you know?
We're doing the same thing.
Yeah. So, we're thinking along those lines. That's all I got.
You wanna just mention the meeting you're gonna be going to tomorrow night?
Oh, yeah, tomorrow night. Actually, I don't think I'm gonna make it to that, but yes, it's this is the one for National Grid. They're meeting with Shutesbury, Pelham, and if anyone from Belchertown goes to it, it's tomorrow night at
7 p.m.
7 p.m. in the Pelham School, I believe, or library.
This is about the trimming along the right of way?
Yeah, trimming along the right of way, and National Grid in Belchertown is entirely within Quabbin. But they want to, if I understand correctly, take another 40 feet from each side of their right of way, something like that. So they gotta work around some sensitive areas, wetlands, and protected land, and so I think there'll be a vigorous conversation. National Grid, however, they want to clear their entire right-of-way, just mow it all down so they don't have to think about it for another 40 or 50 years. And that would be huge if that happened. You know, their idea is to clear it far enough away so that the tallest tree, if it flops over, you know, 50 years from now, with that much more growth, will not hit their power lines. Well, the power lines are over 100 feet high. You know, you're going to have a few white pines in the area that might get that tall, but so I don't know. So anyway, people are upset, and I think the EverSource comment period might be over. But if you go to this thing tomorrow, or then you can maybe ask questions of the other people who are involved. So.
On the plus side, this develops that much more wild meadow environment for raptors and small animals.
Yep. Yeah. And
There are pros and cons.
there
both
really
ways.
are, and power lines are fabulous regenerative growth areas, you know, for grassland birds. You know, I go to the power lines near my house, and I get to hear prairie warblers, because they're usually in there when they're not a forest animal. Birds like kestrels need open areas. So,
Although
Yeah, you're
there
right.
are other birds whose nesting areas are impacted 300 feet from the clearing.
yes, exactly. So,
I learned that at the Harvard Forest thing.
yeah,
that I went
yeah.
to.
So any
there's-
forest clearing, it doesn't stop where you stop cutting trees, you know, so the effects linger, and then of course invasive plants spread more too, and you get more prickly things growing up. But, you know, on the other hand, the moose and the deer have more browse. You know, animals get to run down the four-wheeler paths. It's, yeah, and so, yeah, you're right, it's a little of both. And everybody gets electricity.
I had one more thing I wanted to discuss. I sent you an email, but I got rolled over here last month. When we were talking about Pepper Ridge, I believe I heard them say that the town was going to be maintaining that subdivision going forward until he sells the rest of the lots, because there was already houses that were resident
I
in
think
there
it was for plowing.
for plowing.
That was the conversation, yeah.
All right. Now, I saw another email from Chris Lorenza in the Highway Department saying that because Woodland Lane is not accepted for the Woodland,
Yeah, for Woodland, yeah.
the town of Belchertown will not be doing any winter ice or snow removal on Woodland Lane for the coming season. There's houses in there.
Yes, there are.
So how can we tell Pepper Ridge that they can get plowing and Woodland that they can't get plowing? Same situation.
But didn't the fellow from Pepper Ridge say that they were paying for
We're
plowing?
paying for it.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna pay.
They,
Mhm.
They were. I didn't hear that part.
It was at the last meeting we had with them, and I'm pretty certain that they said they had been told that they were gonna have to do the plowing themselves for this season,
Before it was approved.
before it was approved.
The reason why I wanted sort of clear is because we got that other subdivision coming up, that Mishi Moon.
Yeah.
And I was adamant with Mr. LaFleur that they had to give us written documentation stating that they were gonna maintain that subdivision right down through to acceptance at town meeting.
Yeah,
We weren't gonna do any. So I wanna make sure that we have a clear policy going forward.
yeah.
If we're gonna say, well, once the subdivision is over 50% built, we're gonna, it's okay to plow the snow.
I think the rule should be that until it's a town road, we don't plow the snow.
All right, then that's our policy, that's the
That's
rule
my attitude, but,
for everybody.
you know, because I'm kind of tired of developers getting to do their subdivisions and dumping all the externalities onto the town.
Right,
Yeah,
just so it's clear going forward.
Yep.
Right,
that's my take.
Leonard, is there anything you'd like to bring forward to the great town of Belchertown tonight?
nothing.
Just a note, looking at the schedule, I will be unavailable to attend the meeting on January 13th. I'll be out of town for work travel.
Let's decide December 23rd right now.
Yeah.
We don't have any business coming up that we know of.
Nope.
It's a holiday week. People are probably gonna be traveling and have other plans and stuff. Let's go ahead and cancel that meeting right now, so you don't have to worry about that one. December 23rd is canceled. This is our only meeting for December. We'll meet again at the beginning of January.
January 13th, we have the Mishi Moon public hearing scheduled.
And that's Michigan.
And so Bjorn, if you missed that one, then presuming the hearing will be continued, all you'd have to do is watch the video
Okay.
and give us a note for the town clerk, saying, attesting that you are up to date on all
Okay.
the proceedings.
All right.
And he's allowed to miss
One.
one, and still be a voting member on the
On the
special
overall.
permit.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
One moment.
Nothing for me.
Elizabeth. Mark, did you have anything? I don't have anything else. We can go ahead and then make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Being about 8:05, we want just a little over an hour.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded, no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Mary Ann, you can turn the power off.
Thank you, Jackie.